Hey everybody, how's it going? I know I posted on social media recently that I felt like I was at death's door with this friggin' cold I've had the last few days, and thankfully it's not COVID. Took the test this morning. But it's like I can't really work as far as writing and art and stuff like that, or pay a lot of attention to stuff. So I thought, I'll just do an episode. Yeah, it's not going to make me any sicker. It's just I have to get this in one take. Some time ago, I shared with you the trade paperback of Legion of Superheroes, where they fought Darkseid, and it was Paul Levitz and Keith Giffen really making the Legion of Superheroes interesting to outsiders like me. And I mean, I know Legion has been steeped into DC history since the mid to late 60s, but anyway. This has been collected. It follows after, like right after they defeated Darkseid. And basically, Levitz and Giffen decide to see what they could do afterwards, like a calm before the storm, make more personal stories, and then have real serious danger come along later. So it's smart that they didn't jump right to the next, cosmic bad guy that was, threatening everybody. Like this one spotlights Cosmic Boy. His parents, spoilers everybody, the parents from his planet got killed in a nuclear explosion. And he wants to, okay, hang in there, ready? And he wants to kill them, and but he gets stopped at the end. Beautiful work here. Beautiful reproduction. Shiny papers. He's ready to tear these people off using, the iron in their blood or something like that. But he gets stopped because he's a good guy and he listens to his friends. Now, one thing I gotta say, the paper, it weighs a ton. It's got to be the heaviest American paper used, and I like it, but it's a little heavy. During this time, DC had these little extra 16-page free comics that would debut a new comic, but they wouldn't take from the first issue. It would be a standalone story, and then issue 1 of Amethyst would come out, which was a brilliant strategy. But as I said, for some reason in the mid-'80s, DC was trying everything, and I just don't think a lot of people were really caring about it. Didn't make them... Sales never got great, and they deserve it. They should have been. There's a couple. There's The White Witch, not Stevie Nicks. And Keith is inked by Larry Malstead, who's just a fantastic inker. I mean, he does such clean stuff. I haven't seen much stuff he's done since, I think he did the first few issues of the original Thunderbolts, and or sometime around there. Got that Kirby action going. Wildfire is basically a being of energy. He has a containment suit, and he's super cranky as a result. Picture like Hawkeye, Green Arrow, everybody else that pisses and moans. Imagine being the guy with no body. And beautiful stuff here. He decides to blow something up, so he takes all the energy out of his containment suit and it lands on this new character named Block, who's basically a walking block. And he gets back in it and everything. But little touches like that. I don't understand why Wildfire is not being used. I mean, some of the other characters are kind of so-so. This is Colossal Boy and Ultra Lad, or somebody, one of those guys who has, he could change his, I don't know. It's there's so many lads and boys, and just drink it in. I'm as fast as anyone. Donnie! Talking about Dawnstar, he was in love with, but that's just great. That was never done before, really. This guy's very Kirby-esque. He was steeped in the Kirby, which is good. And there's the Invisible Kid, who they used so many great overlays and zipatones for this back then. This is way before, scanning and great. It was before elaborate coloring in computers was done. It was all done with overlays, simple, like crude production. Wildfire finds out he's like a genie. He's going to be like, I'm going to stay forever. And the little kid says, this is a falsehood. This is a real thing. I don't care. So, can't blame the guy. So anyway, this big ugly guy decides to take on the White Witch, and it's sort of her introduction to seeing what the hell she could do. She kind of came along during the Dark Side storyline, and he basically kicks ass, and they're just kind of like, oh. So there's the original Invisible Kid, and he goes to fight the new one, but the Invisible Kid had died. So it's basically like a fantasy story. It's cool. Now this is great. For like a year or two, DC did some really high prestige anniversary issues around the 82 or 83. There was Superman 700, which had everybody in it. Comics Kayfabe covered at one time, and it's stunning. And then there was Detective Comics number 500. There was all these others, but this was Legion issue 300, which started off as Superboy with Superboy Legion of Superheroes. What's interesting is in the original comic, I don't think I have it anymore, but different artists inked these images over Keith Giffen. That's George Perez for Colossal Boy, right there. You can see that plain as day. And there's, what's his name? Mon-El, inked by Gil Kane. You can see from the folds and everything. And I don't remember the rest. I'm sorry. And the collection doesn't tell you. I was kind of like, man. I mean, it's, DC was getting really top artists for doing these anniversary issues. And anyway, Keith Giffen's working with Larry Malston, and they have a whole variety of different artists. Really good stuff. And it's a different kind of story. It's not necessarily the same doom and gloom type stuff, but there's a chapter by classic Superboy artist Kurt Schaffenberger. And I was not that big a DC fan, but even I knew this was really cool that they did that, getting all these classic artists. And it goes back to, like a lot of these anniversary issues, it goes back to a few current panels by the current artist. And here we got Kurt Swan and Dan Adkins. Just amazing stuff with the Fearsome Five, or whatever they called. Something like that. Then you got Dave Cockrum, baby. Yeah, baby. He designed Wildfire, and I think Dawnstar, and I think quite a few others. And it makes me crazy that someone's such a cool costume and a whole, he's just a cool character, a standout character, in my opinion. I don't know why he's not being used in DC continuity. I don't know. Sometimes the vagaries of artists' estates who make claims on characters that, before the copyright law in 1978, they might have said, well, I created this before that. And it varies from person to person. Long, boring story. See, I told you it was boring. James Sherman. He's just a fantastic artist. And then, we kind of cut to current. And we go back to Joe Staton. He's like, hey, let me tell you, have you heard this one before? So you just got a legion of really good artists. Then it goes to, this is a throwback to the annuals that had Superman and other characters. And it's Chameleon Boy and his dad. And the effects is what I'm mostly showing this for. There's so much going on. This is done on an overlay. Now, not just with Zipatone, because there was not this kind of Zipatone. Somebody, I don't know if it was Larry or even Keith, created this whirlwind pattern, which is just out of this world. I mean, because I was buying Zip, and I never saw anything like that. I was a big Zip man back in the day. That's when he started doing these really gross kind of characters. And in the Omega Men, he did that first 6 issues. Nice dropouts, meaning there's no holding lines on the outside. I love seeing that kind of stuff. Lightning Lord versus Lightning Lad. There's only room for one lightning dude. And this is all new stuff that Keith would throw in there. He knew in the past so many characters had so many of the same kind of illustrations that would display their powers. So he really made tremendous changes. I love that sinister look. That is the Emerald Empress. And she's evil. She ain't nice. So, in fact, she has Sunboy. He smart talks her, and she breaks his jaw. So, being serious business. Only thing is, the rest of the episode, he can't talk like this. Wow, love it. he gets mad and writes "stuff it" like in a giant. He just breaks up some rocks. So it's fun, and there is good stories in here. I'm simplifying them for the sake of brevity, but there's Supergirl. She shows up once in a while. She zips around the planet to hit something off the mark. I don't know what it was. There. Oh, it was causing an earthquake or something. So, love that. Colossal Lad just uses his finger to flick one of the guys away. And I've always said these Colossal guys, they really should make everybody else superfluous, because they just come in a room and they can wipe everybody away. A little bit of zip there. And there was sort of a hinted romance between Brainiac 5 and Supergirl, but we never realized. He told her he had problems of paying attention because you're too damn distracting. What? Okay, Legion of Superheroes. Second, I showed the first annual in my previous Legion. Now get this. Dave Gibbons, artist extraordinaire. Even then, I mean, this is well before Watchmen. This came out before the What Do You Give Superman on His Birthday issue with the written by Alan Moore. And right out of the gate, he's just phenomenal. I got to ink this guy for a few pages. There was a relaunched Legion of Superheroes back in 2004, and I got to ink like there was a 6-page story with, I can't remember who, I think it was Phantom Girl or something. So, more guest artists. Oh no, this is all Gibbons. Now we're jumping ahead to another story where I love the designer, and she's supposed to be a descendant of Clark Kent, and her name's, I don't know, Julie Kent or something. But I love that completely impractical costume. It's like giving everybody a show. It's like, what the blue blazes? But here, I love this. He does modern. Listen to me. Modern physical features on the characters, but he does these bad guys as Kirby in Kirby armor, and it's such a really fun contrast. And that's the Wolverine / Timberwolf guy, which I may have mistakenly said came after Wolverine. Somebody else have to research that. See, I told you I'm sick. Blast away these Kirby wannabes. But, I mean, I always love that face. I love that face. Dawnstar has to leave by tradition of her people to go all across the universe and meet her mate, because that is the way. It is the way. And I wish there was a U inside fabric and circuitry to kiss Wildfire, but we both know there is not. Take care. She leaves. Because I love you. Blam! Just decides to blow a stack, literally. And it's a really great touch. There is Kurt Schaffenberger is a guest inker, and because this is a monthly book, it comes out constantly. I mean, it also, back in my day, if your book was not 3 months ahead of print of being released on the stands, you were considered late. So that's just the way it goes. Okay, a little bit of Keith Giffen. And what's funny is every time he shows Wildfire, it's like the uniform's a little slightly different. Okay. And then this is where like the next big cosmic evildoer shows up, and the prophet shall speak. You could play like, what is that song from the Queen Night at the Opera? So, the prophet, he said, da, 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 da. So it's got that like doom and gloom thing where... Now, here's the thing. You're going to see a new Keith Giffen. He does a quicker, more economical kind of style where he can go faster, but yet it still tells a story. And I sort of thought at the time, oh, man, he's just banging this shit out. But eventually, I still enjoyed it. And part of me thought, well, I guess he's evolving. Now, that looks like that's like an entree to the 80s Giffen that you would see in Ambush Bug and other books. Although they were a pain in the ass to read sometimes with those black bars and such. Beautiful stuff. Okay, it's a big trade paper. I'm going to spend like 2 hours on this. I'm trying not to. The prophet he said, listen to the wise man. backup story to help keep Giffen going. Artist in absentia. George Tuska, inked by Larry Malstead. Love George Tuska. I grew up on his Iron Man, his Champions, and everything else. Now we're going to hear Profit and Loss. He talks all this doomsaying. Now you're starting to see simpler lines. A lot, and just a lot different things that he didn't do before. He's doing those drop-offs like he did with the, yeah, well, there we go. See, we're just seeing Giffen spread himself out because he proved himself a sellable artist on this book, along with Paul Levitt's writer. So he thought, well, I'll screw with it a little bit, but if they tell me they don't like it, then I'll pull back maybe. So anyway, plotters, Pat Broderick, inked by Mike DiCarlo. This backup story that I don't really give a shit about. Doo-dee-doo. Okay, there we go. See, we're getting into the and I was digging it, but it just, I think after Dark Side, this seemed a little kind of, I don't know, I hate to say redundant because it's still enjoyable. So there you go. See, there you go. But Giffen's evolving. He really wants to see what he could do, because for many years he was just a fan artist, like a lot of us, where he used a bunch of tiny panels, like 16 of them a page, and then he got into a Kirby Jag when he did Defenders with Mike Royer and I think someone else, maybe Klaus Janson too. And that was just really cool stuff. So some more cool imagery. He's getting all pissed off, and this is so cool. I loved it. He goes, they should have left him in the asylum after his last breakdown. Sheesh. So, long story about that. Well, that's really great. That's a lot of fun. But at the time, though, I was kind of going like, oh man, is he banging this shit out? But as I matured, I started to realize after the fact that this was really great experimental, ballsy work. And it's uniquely his own. That's the great thing. Well, okay. Sorry, I have to mention the the elephant in the room. In the 80s, Giffen, for a time on Ambush Bug and other projects like the Thunder Agents Revival, he borrowed heavily from the Spanish artist Muñoz, who did these crime graphic novels. I mean, to the point of showing a panel of a fried egg from the panel of one of Muñoz's graphic novels. And there was this like huge, scandalous article in the Comics Journal. And are there any other kind of articles there? So, just kidding, Gary. So, he probably doesn't even know I'm alive. Anyway, Gene Colan, backup artist. He's one of the guys, migrants to DC, inked by Larry Malstead. I mean, it's just sort of there, but the art is fun. I'm like, I would love to have inked. I've inked Colan commissions. I've inked Tuska commissions, but I've never inked them in a comic book. So, Carl Kiesel, up-and-coming hero, great writer, great inker. He filled in on Fantastic Four in the early 2000s or late 1990s, and he really knows the Fantastic Four. I mean, he understands it. I would love to see him get his hand in a great cover there. Really, really clever. Again, this is shit you had to do an overlay, and if there was a different color. I mean, this is very much like the stuff I did in advertising, where if they wanted a color hold or they wanted a color to go over another color that would not allow mushy combinations, you would do overlays. And it was on these like big honking thick boards, and they called it Ruby length. That's what it's called. And you would cut out little areas, and I sound like I'm 100 years old, but it was fun. I did talk to Darwin Cook about that one time, way back. Okay, well, Kurt Swan and Romeo Tengel. I have this. I have the same background as the late great Darwin Cook, and at a convention, he started talking about that stuff, and I started talking to him about all the old stuff, like the wax machine where you would run the printed copy underneath and then paste it up on the board, and all this stuff, and just all the crude stuff. It was a really fun conversation. Just really nice guy. So it's a shame. And we're about at the end, everybody. But, you're seeing a whole new Keith Giffen from the very beginning, because he's still doing the same stuff he did, all those, issues that I had shown before. And it's pretty cool. It's really cool. He came back later to do a short era, when it was like 5 years later, it was called. And I don't remember how that was received at the time, because I wasn't in the business yet, and also I was tight on money, so I had to kind of make hard decisions, as a lot of comic fans do. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little jaunt. I know there's much more to say about it, but I'm still fighting this stupid cold, and I just felt like doing this because I don't know. I don't feel like I can do anything else at this moment. And you have a great day, everybody. And buy my prose novels on Amazon. There's little chapters, previews. That's it. All right. Have a good day, and everybody stay healthy. I hope I get healthy. See y'all.